We are live. We're going to be joined, and we are joined, depending where you're watching, by Kaitie Chakos, who's an amazing registered dietitian. And I'm biased because she works with Married to Health. So if you go to the Married to Health website, you can make an appointment with Kaitie. But we're going to be doing a live Q&A with Kaitie ourselves. She's going to be joining here on Instagram, as well as YouTube and Facebook and all these great platforms that you're watching us from. So we'll see when Kaitie pops on, and we will.
When we get her a join request, we'll let her in on the video.
Yeah. How's everyone doing? It's Friday, end of the week. Looking forward to the weekend. What's up?
I feel like it's been a full day. I don't know. I have this aversion to the word busy. So I feel like it's been a full day. I don't know about you guys. We did this when we went live with Amanda Sivia, our dear friend who's also a dietitian, and I just really appreciated it. So since we're here and we're together, let's just take a couple seconds to take some nice deep breaths. So when I do it, I like to close my eyes. I will put one hand on my heart, one hand on my stomach, so I can feel my diaphragm expanding. But let's take a breath together. I like to inhale slowly for 3 to 5 seconds. Hold it for 3 to 5 seconds. Exhale as slowly as possible. I like to really extend it over 5 to 8 seconds. And then repeat that if you want to do one more cycle.
A great way to start any conversation.
So keep going if you want to keep going with it. Hopefully you felt your heart rate slow down with those slow exhales. But I know, you were often going from thing to thing. So I don't know about you all, but I needed that breath. So
same.
We are excited to be here. We're excited to be here live with Kaitie. We are going to be letting you all get to know Kaitie, because you probably know us if you're here live, but we want you all to know who we keep company with. And Kaitie's someone who I will let Kaitie get into it of how our paths really joined and conjoined. But Kaitie, I'd love for you to please really introduce yourself to people and let them know who you are and how this all came to be.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James and Dahlia. So hi, everyone. I'm Kaitie Chakos. I am a licensed registered dietitian. And a little bit about me, this is my second career. So I originally was in the beauty space. I worked within like branding and marketing for a number of years, within skincare, doing some product development and branding and things like that. But I realized that it wasn't really that fulfilling, and I didn't get as much joy out of that career as I thought, or as I did going into it.
Hold on, Kaitie. We're seeing, can you guys, on those on Instagram, can you guys hear us at all? Can you hear us? Let us know.
Let us know if you can hear us. I think we can't hear Kaitie.
We can hear.
Yes. Well, we hear Kaitie through.
They can't hear us.
Can you hear us?
No sound.
No sound. Ooh.
Instagram. Gosh.
Interesting.
Yes. Wait. Yes. What?
Yes to what?
Can't hear her. Oh, but you can hear us.
Okay, you can hear us, but you can't hear Kaitie.
Interesting.
All right. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, Kaitie, I think if your headphones are synced to your computer, but they're also trying to join through your phone, it's not going to pick up sound from there because it's, I think, streaming just to there.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the feedback. So you can hear us, and then we'll try and get Kaitie on. So let us know when you can hear Kaitie.
And guys, we always try to feed two birds with one seed if we can. So if you're not hearing us live on Instagram, Kaitie's trying to figure it out and get connected there. But we are live on YouTube right now. So so I love, someone said, I can understand sign language. I don't know sign language. So I appreciate that you can understand it, but I don't know how to sign. So you can always tune into YouTube. We'll try to get Kaitie on here, but if not,
then we might switch to YouTube, guys. So head to our Married to Health YouTube, and we'll maybe see you there if we can't figure out Instagram. But submit your questions while you can. So this is a live Q&A. We'll be getting to know Kaitie, but as well as we want to see your questions come in. So if you want to do that on YouTube or also on Instagram, and hopefully we get Instagram figured out. But if not, go to our Married to Health YouTube. Also, while Kaitie's figuring this out, which would be for right now, if you two can hear you, it might be going through your earphones maybe. Okay, so I'm just seeing some comments come through. But anyway, right now on our Married to Health page, we just launched our new vlog series, Another Healthy Day. So another reason to go to our Married to Health YouTube is for another healthy day. This is something we've been working on for a while because we've had so much feedback from you all of like, we want to see you guys on your daily life and what do you eat? What supplements do you take? So this is a fun way, we thought, of doing that and giving you all just a deeper glimpse. Of course, we run our private practice or registered dietitians, but we try to live it, guys. We do really try to live it.
And we like to call it research in action. So we show you, we talk the talk, but we also try to walk the walk as often and every single day that we can. So if you did want to see that, you can check out Another Healthy Day. So
yes,
seems like now people can hear Kaitie.
So let's see
Yay.
if Kaitie can go ahead and say something, Kaitie.
Yes.
Yes, I believe so. If everyone on Instagram can hear, that would be great. Wonderful. Okay, I think we're good. So Kaitie. So let's start off again. Kaitie, who are you? Why are you? What are you doing here? Tell us who you are.
Awesome. Well, thanks for everyone's patience with me as I try to get through some of the technical difficulties. But like I said, my name is Kaitie. I am the newest dietitian at Married to Health. And a little bit about me, this is my second career. So I previously worked in the beauty industry after college. I worked in kind of branding and product development. And after a couple of years, I realized that I wasn't really as filled as I had been in the start. And kind of in the background, nutrition was always something really since college that I was interested in, but didn't really think, I didn't know that a dietitian was a career option for me. I don't even think I knew the word dietitian when I was in college. And so it just seemed like a hobby that I would just take on with my lifestyle. But then I learned about dietitians and all the amazing things that they can do and all the spaces that they can work. And so I decided to leave my career and I had to go back to school and take all of kind of basic prerequisite science classes before I could even apply to get into a master's program to then become a dietitian. So that was about a 4-year journey that I had to kind of go through, and really it was like a huge jump that I had to take, and it was kind of risky for me to do that. But it was really exciting, and I finally found it in like my first science class. I was like, okay, I'm in where I'm supposed to be, and everything kind of fell into line. And here I am today working with Dahlia and James and the rest of the team at Married to Health, and I'm so excited.
And we're so excited to have you. And it was really cool because I think we really try to connect with dietitians who we align with. And so with you, Kaitie, you reached out to us to be one of your rotation sites for your dietetic internship. So, many people don't realize that just like doctors need to do a residency in complete hours, we as dietitians need to do an internship. So we have to do varying amounts. It could be anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000 supervised practice hours that someone needs. But Kaitie reached out to us and said, hey, can I intern with you for my outpatient clinical rotation? And I've been following you guys and I resonate with what you recommend as far as plant-based dietitians go. So we said, yes, of course. So Kaitie was one of our amazing dietetic interns, stood out and really brought those skills that she had from her marketing background and helped us execute one of our funnest projects, our Good Gut A to Z ebook. So if you have a copy of our ebook, a huge part of that was Kaitie. Kaitie was a phenomenal member of that team, a phenomenal member of patient care. And so when it came time and she was done, she graduated, Kaitie reached out to us and was like, hey guys, I'm a dietitian now. And, I'd love to join your team. So of course it was something that was so easy to say yes to because we like to work with those who really align with our values and our mission to help people heal with each meal. And Kaitie really gets that. And Kaitie, I'd love for you to share with people what what your particular flavor is. We all have our own as dietitians, and we all have our own focus, and we all have our own goals and ways to support our patients. You know, I specialize in IBS and SIBO in plant-based females or those who are plant-based. So what's your flavor and who's your target audience? What's your specialty that you're really looking to support people with?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your kind words with that project. It was so much fun to work on and to help and be a little part of that. But in terms of like my flavor, the type of patients I like to work with, of course, being related to health, gut health is a big component and I find really interesting. And personally, IBS is something that I've struggled with my whole life and is something a lot of people in my family with have struggled. And that's really where I got into nutrition in the first place, is figuring out what I need to do for my IBS and kind of managing that. And so that's always going to be a really important component of what I do. But I'm also really interested in women's health and people who have uteruses and helping from a nutritional standpoint, all of the complications and all of the questions and all the things that go along with that. But plant-based nutrition is also a big component of my care in general. Along that, I'm a big proponent of mindfulness and mindful eating and really meeting a person where they're at. So if really understanding what foods do they have access to, are they in a safe community where they have a grocery store that they can walk to, really understanding the bigger picture of an individual and creating that personalized, individualized care plan that is tailored specifically for them is really where I find a lot of my passion.
Totally. That's wonderful. I mean, and guys, and just a reminder, if you're watching, we want to see some questions come in. If you have questions, I know we're seeing some come in, so we're going to answer some of these questions. But I love that, Kaitie. I mean, there's such a need. I mean, with so much confusion out there, with so much environmental factors affecting women, we know women are disproportionately affected by so many outside factors that play into nutrition and nutrigenomics and how it affects human health. And we're talking about like female health specifically. It's so important. We need this for women. We need answers to these questions. We need, you know, a lot of that support and resources. So that's wonderful. And you take a plant-based approach. How did that come about?
Oh my gosh. Well, that is way back in college in my undergrad. Kind of going back to the IBS that I've been managing for a long time now, is in college, I was really confused about what to do. I was dealing with a lot of IBS issues and I didn't really know where to start. And for some reason, for me, my body was saying, hey, I don't think we really like dairy. Kind of realizing that I probably have some lactose intolerance that's going on. And I cut out dairy and it was like night and day, where I just felt so much better and really noticed that shift. And then from there, I also noticed stress is a big component for me as well, with pain and bloating. And even to this day, I notice, okay, if my stomach's kind of hurting, I need to take a breath and kind of center myself again. But I also found a book by Dr. Neil Bernard when I was in college, and it was kind of like this 21-day program and walking through starting your plant-based journey from like day 1 to day 21. And I read it from cover to cover in like a day. And instantly I was like, this is it. This is for me. And I really found a sense of community within the plant-based space, even from like somebody who's just watching content. So like watching James and Dahlia and the Married to Health team and watching some other plant-based people and doctors online, I really kind of found that community that I had been craving at that time. And then from there, it kind of launched into some of the ethics around plant-based eating and veganism. And it's been 10 years that I've been plant-based and I've never looked back.
That's great. I know for us, yeah, it's going on 12 years and yeah, just
That's
all these
amazing.
factors. It's so amazing. I mean, how it just seeds and you plant the seed and it starts growing and it fruits and you go, "Oh, wow." And there's more starts growing and this ecosystem starts forming of like, "Oh, wow, it was for this one reason, then became two reasons, five reasons," and you see it just growing and facilitating this community and this movement and this career path. And I'm always a big fan of this big picture view of like, yeah, it starts in one way, but then it just becomes this entire ecosystem where you go, whoa, I get to maybe impact people's health, or I get to impact the environment and ethics, and I sleep better knowing like we're not, physically causing, I mean, all this pain and suffering. And it's not, I mean, animals, yes, obviously, right? When you're saying I eat 100% plant-based, so you're not killing animals, but I think a lot of people don't realize the effects of farm workers, the effect it has on those who are actually doing the work to either provide food for the animals or actually slaughter the animals, and the negative effects on their health and
Mental
their
health.
life, mental health. I mean, it's just massive. And yeah, I know for us it was a big health reason for the most part, but we see all these different perspectives and we see all these angles it can take, and it's pretty
Mhm.
amazing. So yeah, I love it.
We love it. And we have a couple questions
Yeah,
here.
I've
So
seen some questions, guys.
we have a
Love it.
couple of people interested in your story. So, what do you love most about being a dietitian? And you just started seeing your first few patients through our practice. What have you loved the most about it?
I really love just seeing a piece of education around nutrition click with a with a patient, with a client, and they come to us for a specific reason and a purpose, and maybe the piece of education we give them is something that they've been told 100 times, and finally this was the moment that it clicked for them. Or maybe they've never heard this recommendation before and they're shocked and they're like, oh my gosh, I can totally do this. That I think is really cool to see, and to see those changes that people are making that really affect their overall health. And it's just really cool to see that in somebody else.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is.
I love that.
And I think you and Dahlia both, or anyone who sees patients, I mean, it's this empathy, right? Like you feel what your patients feel. I mean, that is an important factor or characteristic of any healthcare provider, which is like, man, when you feel something, I feel something. When you're seeing this
Mhm.
success, I am feeling success. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's almost like having a child, almost like your patients are these wonderful children. And you're like, grow up, children. Like, here's this knowledge, here are these resources, and wow, you're doing it, you're making it. And it is very, very similar to that. You have that satisfaction of like, finally, my patient is not bloated constantly, or they're overcoming their IBS, or yeah, I
Better
mean, just fill in
hormonal
the gap,
balance
hormonal
and
imbalance, like with your patients. And
Mhm.
it's so amazing to see that. So
Their wins are always our wins, and it's so gratifying. And even though I always tell my patients, I'm just Home Depot, right? You just come to me to buy tools or to just learn about tools.
right.
If you want to take an extra class, you've, taken the time to do that with me, but you're the one going home and really utilizing the tools, right?
Mhm.
With me, I'm just kind of the advisor saying, "Oh, you want a weed whacker, but you don't actually have grass. So maybe that's not the best tool for you. I think what you need is this. I think we need to trim the hedges, or I think we need to do this." And so, as dietitians, we really are just guides. And, I don't know about you, Kaitie, but I think of myself also as a patient advocate of, I speak the language. So I think that this is something you go back and you ask your care team for. Have
Yeah.
they ran this test yet? I know as a healthcare practitioner myself how bogged down we can get, right? With all the ins and outs and the little details that people don't see of charting and insurance billing and all of
All the
the
fun stuff.
little small details that go into it. So things sometimes unfortunately get missed,
Yeah.
especially with standard healthcare where you might have 15 minutes with your practitioner. We know that that's not the type of care we offer at Married to Health. We offer extended visits because we know that that's what patients need. But I see us as also patient advocates, where we're the ones saying, hey, this is what this means. I don't know about you. I'm a nerd. And so nothing gives me more joy than saying, let's look at your colonoscopy report together so I can break this down with you. Let's look at your labs. I love thoroughly combing through people's labs with them and saying, this is what methylmalonic acid is. This is what ferritin is. And this is why yours is a little bit off, or maybe it's not off yet, but maybe it's suboptimal. You're low normal. Maybe that's suboptimal. So I love being that advocate, like James was saying, because of that empathy that we have, and because of that just joy that we receive back when people are succeeding, or that push that we get from seeing people struggle and really resolving to want to help them over the hump.
Mm-hmm. Love it. And I see some other questions coming in.
Mm-hmm. And so we're getting some great questions, especially on YouTube. So people are asking a couple gut health questions. And Kaitie, you can let me know if you want to take this one.
Yeah.
So someone's asking, what are the symptoms of celiac sprue, which is another word for celiac disease? And we know celiac disease can often present itself kind of like IBS, but there's more to that story. Do you want to answer this one, Kaitie? Let me know how you feel.
Yeah, Dahlia, you're the expert. I'll let you take it from here.
So, a lot of times people come in and they're like, I just keep having these really awful stomach aches. I'm losing weight. Or if it's in a child, because it is an autoimmune attack on the lining of the intestines when wheat, barley, rye, and other gluten-containing grains are consumed, we know that symptoms can be severe IBS symptoms. So diarrhea, pretty immediate diarrhea after meals, excruciating stomach cramping, vomiting, loss of mucus in the stool. For children, it can be weight loss or inability for weight gain. So they might be categorized as failure to thrive. For an adult, again, they might have unexplained weight loss where they're saying, I'm still eating and I haven't changed what I eat or how I eat, but I'm losing weight unintentionally. I'm having muscle wasting or that muscle cachexia that we sometimes see. So if that's the case, you definitely want to go to your care team. They can first run a panel for antibodies against gluten and to see if you're a carrier for some of those genes for celiac. The gold standard way to diagnose celiac disease, again, an autoimmune condition, is through endoscopy. So they would do an endoscopy, an endoscope, and they would take samples from your small bowel to see if there's been damage to the villi, and then they would diagnose celiac disease that way. So really good question, very specific question, but we love it. We love all the questions that we get on YouTube. We love all the questions that we get on Instagram as well. And I think for Kaitie, she's a whiz. So if you're not following Kaitie already, highly recommend that you do. I have so many cooking questions for you, Kaitie. So if you're not following Kaitie, you should know Kaitie is an amazing cook. She creates these beautiful videos and reels on plant-based recipes. So if you're looking for more inspo on how to eat more plant-based, we highly recommend you follow Kaitie Chakos. But Kaitie, what inspires you in recipes? Do you like to follow recipes? Do you kind of do a little this and a little bit of that? What inspires you when you're cooking on? That's my question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I am not a recipe person. When it comes to my own cooking, I'm a very much like I have stacks and stacks and stacks of cookbooks. Actually, my phone is stacked on some more cookbooks now. I'll tend to look at a recipe and be like, okay, I got it. But I know I like these flavors and I like those flavors, so I'm just going to throw them in. And it drives my husband crazy because he's like, no, follow the recipe. You have to follow it. I'm like, but I know this will taste good. And sometimes it doesn't taste good. I will say I've had a couple fails. But I really like just getting in, seeing what I have in the kitchen, and making a simple meal. I'm not super complicated. I don't like to be, making something for an hour, which those are fun to do. But when you're making all of your meals, especially a lot of us are at home, and we have the luxury and the privilege now to make some more meals at home than we normally would. I am like a 20 minutes maybe, in and out, make something delicious and healthy and fast, and like get on with my day.
Love that. What are some of your favorite recipes to make? Because we're all about that life. We call ours healthy lazy. So that's our cooking style, is healthy lazy. Ain't nobody got time for that. As much as I appreciate these beautiful involved recipes like you do, like you said, like I'm not going to do that, especially 3 times a day. So
I have to admit, I regularly eat as a dad. I think it's on my duties as a father to eat the leftover. What do we call it? Like leftover.
He calls it leftover slop.
Leftover slop, where I just go, what are these leftovers in the fridge that are, I don't want them to go to bad. I hate wasting food, especially our like delicious food, or when Dahlia makes something delicious, I'm like, I don't care if it's leftover salad with spaghetti and like whatever, like tempeh, whatever it is, I'll just throw it all together. And it usually tastes really good. So
for someone who doesn't want to eat leftover slop, or James's specialty of a raw tofu sandwich with mustard, Kaitie, what are some of your favorite quick, some of those 20-minute
really
recipes?
have like, I have 2 kind of like go-to weeknight things that I pretty much make every week. And it's some kind of veggie taco and some kind of veggie stir fry. I really try to center my meals around, okay, what can I throw just a ton of veggies in that will be fast and easy for me to do? And like cauliflower tacos with bell pepper, onion, basically whatever veggies I can find in the fridge, with some beans, maybe some tofu or some rice or tempeh, and just put it in a tortilla with some salsa. My husband makes a great salsa from scratch, so that's always on our rotation. And just a stir fry. So another thing, just throw a bunch of veggies in a pan, get some rice or some noodles, whatever you like, and like have at it. Find a good sauce. I'm still kind of like tweaking my perfect stir fry sauce recipe. So hopefully I'll be able to share that soon. But like as soon as you find and make a good sauce, it's like anything will go.
love it. And I see another question coming in. I mean, what are some, like, when you are helping patients, and especially women, like what are some key things you're telling women to put? I mean, this is kind of what the question is. I'm just trying to word it a little bit differently, but it's this idea of like, what would you tell women, like say if you had a patient who's a woman and they're wanting to go more plant-based, what are some key ingredients that you like to add or keep in your cupboard or your pantry or kitchen for
or
your
nutrients
overall
to be
health?
mindful
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, the first thing is not so much about food. I would say with female patients, it's really about our mindset and kind of our environment around us. A lot of times, I find that is more or equally important as the food that's on our plate is how we feel in that moment when we're eating something. Are we feeling guilty about our food choice? Are we feeling if I eat this, I'm going to gain weight and weight gain is bad and I don't want to be bad? Like this kind of language can really affect people, and this affects anybody, but particularly diet culture with women is really strong and really has a strong hold on people. So that is a really important thing, is first and foremost, let's work on our relationship with food. And once that is kind of in a place where we're making some progress, then we can focus on getting those whole foods, good plant-based protein, get in some nuts and seeds and things like that, and focusing on just whole plant-based eating in general.
Yeah, I love that, because it is. I mean, you can kind of demonize anything nowadays. Like, oh, fruit is bad, so I'm not going to eat fruit. Oh, grains are bad, so grains. Oh, and then I mean anything. I mean, even tofu. I mean, we hear this a lot. Soy. Oh, soy's bad, so I'm not going to eat soy.
Especially
Even
for
though
women, because
for
it
women,
contains estrogen.
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Which is not true.
yeah.
Right.
So it's you're very right, because I mean anything you think or and even this idea, this conundrum of like good and bad, like what is good, what is bad, and this language we use
Black and
around it, it's
white.
like black and white. Well,
Yeah.
it's like, no, what's right for me? How do I feel? What are my goals first and foremost, and being kind of real with yourself, real with these goals. And then that's where you bring on someone like Kaitie or someone from a dietitian or any other healthcare provider who's like, okay, I need help reaching this goal, because I've kind of taken that time to look introspectively, kind of calm my nervous system a little bit and go, okay, this is what's happening. This is what I feel I need. And then going on a healthy journey. And that's great. And that's why Kaitie is more integrative. Like, you're thinking about these things, whereas many other dietitians and health professionals in general are just like, oh, what are your symptoms? Okay, let's treat those symptoms. Here's what you do. Black and white. This is it. Take this or eat this way. Here's a strict meal plan. or calorie deficit, calorie deficit, calorie deficit. It's like, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Well, there's more layers to that, right? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think there tend to be some certain camps around nutrition where some people want to be very regimented. Like, tell me exactly what to eat. I'm going to follow exactly what you say and do everything you tell me. And sometimes that can backfire, and people can burn out when it comes to their health, just like they can burn out when it comes to their work or other elements of their life. So I like to go a little bit slower and play a little bit of a long game to say, we're trying to create truly lifelong habits, and it's not going to happen overnight. And there's a lot of work that we need to do together to get there, but you will get there. It just isn't going to happen tomorrow.
And I feel like not only do you like teaching skills, but I like what you mentioned of assessing their environment. I know I see this with my female clients, especially those who are moms, maybe, or maybe whose partner is not on the same page as them with making the changes. It can be hard to send a changed person into an unchanged environment. So that there is a lot of introspective work of assessing, why is your environment the way that it is? Is that working for other people in your environment? Are these changes beneficial for them as well? If not, what's your motivation that's going to keep you going? And what is that stringency that you want to have? Is that serving you? Is there a little bit of that wiggle room in there for you to enjoy an abundance of these different things? And really, again, understanding their environment, understanding their personal goals, understanding them as a person and what their goals are. And so I think, we're getting a lot of great feedback, a lot of great questions for you. We have one more question that we'd love to address, kind of in line with some of the things you were talking about. You mentioned you have your go-tos every week. You have your tacos, you have your stir fry. Somebody's asking, how would you recommend to begin meal prepping? So going about that whole process of meal prepping for the week so you're more prepared and not as stressed when it comes to eating.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Kind of a loaded question. There's so many different ways you can meal prep. I think the first thing is really assessing and being honest with how much time you have. A lot of people will think prep and are like, okay, I need to make, 7 lunches, 7 dinners, 7 breakfasts, all on Sunday. And I don't know, some people can do it. I personally think that wouldn't be very sustainable for me. But meal prep can also look like just chopping up your veggies into like bite-sized pieces that you can easily throw in a stir fry, in a taco, in anything. That counts as meal prep. Another thing I'd like to do is kind of batch cook beans or grains. So pick a grain for the week that you put in your Instant Pot or put on the stove and cook for the week. And those are your already pre-cooked grains that you have ready to go. Same thing with your beans, or maybe you can tolerate canned beans. Get kind of that idea of those things that will then give you flexibility. So you say, okay, maybe I'm not feeling those tacos tonight, but I know I can use this grain in a soup or something like that. But you can also look at cookbooks and different recipes online and come up with everything you want to make, and then just prep the ingredients without having to make it. Is another great way to go about it. Last kind of tip is really just making enough portions for lunch the next day. That also counts as meal prep. So when you cook your dinner, make a little bit of extra, and then you have lunch for the next day and you don't have to worry about it.
I was literally like envisioning in my mind all that food and like, yeah, that's what we do. And I'm thinking about my meal prep and the beans and it's so true. Like I was
saw James.
I was like thinking about, because it's so true. Like it doesn't have to be so easy. I mean, it doesn't have to be so hard. It can be easy. And like, I think we have this picture of like those on Instagram, or I remember seeing those a lot in the early days of Instagram of like, I meal prepped, and it's like 20 Tupperwares laid out on a counter. And it's like, whoa, like, okay, you meal prep for the next like year or something. And it's like all these Tupperwares. And it's like, wow, you don't really have to do that, right? It could be, like you said, chopping or making extra of something and just using it throughout the week in different ways. So easy.
It's so easy. And I think using shortcuts when they're available, I'm all about it. I always say frozen foods are some of my favorite because somebody else washed and cut them for you. Right. So that can very well be part of meal prep too. So use your resources, utilize them wisely. Somebody's commenting, I love leftovers. So convenient making new dishes out of leftovers. Yes, all about that. So whether or not it's leftover slop like James will put together, or you're giving a new life to those beans where they're tacos, they're bootable, they're blended, and now it's a tostada or whatever it is. You know, these things can really take on different personas. And so that can be really helpful.
So
great.
Guys, if you want to learn more about Kaitie, go to marytouth.com. You can click on under the homepage, you'll see Meet the Team, and you can learn more about Kaitie and all the amazing specialties she has and a little bit more of her bio. And you can you'll see a link to her website. You can follow her. If you click up right there, you'll see it up there on Instagram or down below on the description if you're watching from YouTube or Facebook. So we're so excited to have Kaitie on board, and she's seen patients, and we're so excited for that. Let us know. You'll definitely be seeing Kaitie again in another live, but let us know.
Every month we have our dietitian lives.
Yeah, we have our dietitian talk or more lives on top of that. But let us know what you want to hear about, what topics you want us to cover down in the comments below. This will be replayed. So if you missed something, if you're like, did you guys answer my question or I didn't get that, this will be replayed again on our Instagram as well as our YouTube and Facebook. So you can find it wherever you find Married to Health. And we'll see you guys soon. Keep in mind, check out our YouTube. New vlog is up, which is brand new content for us. So we're really excited about that. Coming up is our Good Gut Live. And then, like we said, first Friday of the month will be our dietitian talk, where we're talking about all things nutrition and health relating to all of you and your families. And we try to really give applicable knowledge and information. So we're excited about that.
So we hope you walked away today with some meal prep ideas and just tips on how to make nutrition a little bit more seamless and just be a part of your life of having more whole foods. And really, that's the goal.
Yes. So thank you, Kaitie. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you all very soon. Have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. And as always, heal with each meal. Almost forgot that.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.